Hi, everybody. Today is Monday, April 27th, 2020. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Today, after I read from our chapter book, we will have a math lesson too. Okay, so make sure you get your math ready. Okay, so I'm going to read chapter 6 in Dark Day in the Deep Sea. Chapter 6 is called Pea Soup. Henry led Jack and Annie out of the sea lab, locking the door behind them. Then he led the way through the hall and down another flight of steep steps. In the faint light of the lower deck, Jack saw naval officers and scientists streaming through a door ahead. He, Annie, and Henry lined up behind them and filed into the wardroom. Still wearing their bulky life vests, Jack and Annie sat awkwardly on a long bench in front of a table. Many of the men stared at them with curiosity. The professor smiled, but the captain did not look happy. "I thought our friends might join us for lunch, sir," Henry said to the captain. "I promise they will return to shore after the storm." "Very well," said the captain. "Immediately after the storm." "Aye, aye, sir," said Henry. He turned to the other officers at the table. "Gentlemen, may I introduce Annie and Jack from America? They are adventurous travelers." "Hi," murmured Jack and Annie. The officers and scientists nodded politely. Sailors in white uniforms acted as waiters, bringing plates and cups to the table. "What are we having for lunch?" Annie whispered to Henry. "The usual," said Henry, sighing. "Salted meat, pickles, dried biscuits." "This is not good," thought Jack. He was right. When he was served, he could hardly look at his food, much less eat it. He was thirsty, though, so he reached for his cup and took a long sip of water. Jack immediately spit the liquid back into his cup. It was unbelievably sour. He gagged and coughed. When he looked up, everyone was staring at him, including the captain. "Excuse me," Jack said, wiping his mouth. His face felt hot from embarrassment. "You just guzzled your lime juice, lad," said the professor. "Most of us take it in small sips." "Lime juice?" asked Annie. "Why?" "It prevents scurvy," said the professor. "Every day we all drink a cup of lime juice for vitamin C. Otherwise, we could get rotten teeth." "Yuck," said Annie. Henry smiled. "You don't get scurvy if you eat fruits and vegetables," he said. "But it is hard to keep fruits and vegetables fresh on board a ship." Jack couldn't think about eating or drinking anything at the moment. All of it, especially the pickles, made him feel much queasier. The rolling of the ship didn't help either. "The waves seem to be getting worse," he said to Henry. "They do indeed," said Henry. He turned and looked out a small round window. "Can't see a thing. It's as thick as pea soup out there." "Oh, no," Jack groaned to himself. "Please don't talk about pea soup." The ship lurched. Cups and plates slid across the table and crashed to the floor. Annie grabbed Jack as the ship rocked wildly. "Steady as she goes," said the captain. "It seems the storm is fully upon us," said the professor. The ship lurched again. More cups and plates slid off the table. Jack and Annie almost slid off their chairs. But without any sign of nervousness, the officers and scientists stood up and hurried out of the room, as if they knew just what to do in bad weather. "I'll take you down to the hold," Henry said to Jack and Annie. "We'll wait there until the waves calm down." The ship pitched violently as they stood up from the table. Holding on to the back of their life vests, Henry steered Jack and Annie out of the wardroom. Jack nearly slipped on the wet floor. His bare feet crushed some soggy biscuits and pickles. He tried not to think about it. And this is the picture. Out in the dark hall, the wind howled down the stairwell from the top deck, spraying them all with ocean foam. "I must go secure my lab," Henry shouted to Jack and Annie. He pointed to the stairs. "Go down one more flight. I'll join you when I can." "We'll come with you," said Annie. "'Tis better to be safe," said Henry. "Follow the others, quickly. I'll come soon." Henry unlocked the door to his lab and disappeared inside. "Come on, let's go down," said Jack. He grabbed Annie's hand and pulled her toward the stairwell. Officers and sailors were all heading down the steps ahead of them. Just as Jack and Annie started down, the ship lurched again. Jack's stomach lurched with it. He covered his mouth. I'm definitely going to be sick, he thought. He really didn't want to throw up on the stairs or in front of the captain and the others. You go down. I'll be right there, Jack shouted to Annie. Why? Where are you going? Annie yelled. Just go down, said Jack. Then he whirled around and charged up the 2 flights of steep steps to the top deck. When Jack stepped onto the deck, the rain was pounding. The wind was howling. The waves looked like dark mountains. Sea foam was blowing everywhere. Jack knew at once he'd made a mistake. Better to be embarrassed than drown, he thought. Just as he turned to go back down the steps, Annie burst onto the deck. Jack, she cried, what are you doing? Jack forgot all about throwing up. I made a mistake, he shouted. We shouldn't be up here. Go down, I'm coming with you. We have to go back down. He pushed Annie toward the stairwell. A giant wave crashed over the side of the ship. Jack fell and slid across the foam-covered deck. It was impossible to see anything. The wind was screaming. Jack tried to stand, but wearing his clumsy life vest, he couldn't get back on his feet. Jack finally hauled himself up, but just as he did, another giant wave broke over the side of the ship. The ship rolled again, and Jack fell to his knees. Another wave crashed over the deck. Jack was swept up by the foamy water and tossed overboard into the churning sea. And this is the picture. And that's the end of the chapter. So tomorrow, I'll read chapter 7. Today in math, we're going to be comparing lengths of objects. So I want you to look at the 3 boxes on your page. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to look around home and I want you to choose some objects that will fit in each box. The blue box, the red box, and the green box. What you're going to do is you're going to draw the objects in the box, in each of the boxes, A, B, and C. Okay? Is object A shorter than object B? Is object B shorter than object C? Circle whether object C is longer than or shorter than object A. Try using longer than and shorter than in complete sentences to describe the objects. Okay, on the next page, it says you can compare the lengths of objects. The paintbrush is longer than the pencil. The pencil is longer than the tube of paint. Is the tube of paint longer than or shorter than the paintbrush? So look carefully at the tube of paint, then look at the paintbrush. Is the tube of paint longer or shorter than the paintbrush? Well, you can see that it's shorter. So you're going to circle shorter than. Just trace over the circle around shorter than. The next part says, compare the objects. Circle the correct answer. So 1 says, the pair of glasses is shorter than the marker. The marker is shorter than the picture. Is the picture longer than or shorter than the pair of glasses? I want you to circle longer than or shorter than. So remember, you're answering the question, is the picture longer than or shorter than the pair of glasses? Then at the bottom, it says, talk math. How can you tell if an object is longer than or shorter than another object? Talk to somebody at home about that. Okay, let's go on to the next page. Number 2 says, the crayon is longer than the paper clip. The scissors are longer than the crayon. Then the question asks, is the paper clip longer than or shorter than the scissors? So look at the paper clip. Is the paper clip longer than or shorter than the scissors? Then I want you to circle either longer than or shorter than. Let's go on to number 3. The eraser is shorter than the glue stick. The glue stick is shorter than the pencil. Is the pencil longer than or shorter than the eraser? So look at how long the pencil is. Is the pencil longer or shorter than the eraser? I want you to circle either longer than or shorter than. Okay, let's go on to the next page. Number 4. Well, first it says compare the objects. Circle the correct answer. 4 says the chalk is shorter than the pen. The paper clip is shorter than the chalk. Is the pen longer than or shorter than the paper clip? Number 5. The table is longer than the book. The book is longer than the eraser. Is the eraser longer than or shorter than the table? Explain to somebody at home how you know that. You're going to circle either longer than or shorter than. Make sure your moms and dads read these again with you if you need to. Okay, at the bottom it says, write math. A marker is longer than a crayon. A crayon is longer than a paper clip. Is the paper clip longer than or shorter than the marker? So I want you to explain in words. Okay, write about it in words. Is the paper clip longer than or shorter than the marker? Then I want you to talk to somebody about that at home. Make sure if you have questions about your math that your moms or dads let me know. Okay, have a good day, everybody.